Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In our previous videos, we've talked about how to create and connect to EC2 instances using SSH and also using EC2 Instant Connect. We also made another video showing you how to connect to private EC2 instances using Instant Connect endpoint. Now in this video, I'm going to show you the most secured way to connect to your EC2 instances in a private subnet. And for that to happen, we are going to use the AWS Systems Manager, which requires SSM agent to be installed on our server. Let me show you about the Systems Manager. On my AWS console, I'm going to search for Systems Manager. So this is the AWS Systems Manager, and if you look down here, you can read more in the documentation. But if you look here, these are some of the features here. The Systems Manager can help you connect to your EC2 instances without opening port 22, without using a Bastion host or SSH key. So this is just one of the features of the Systems Manager. So you can read more on it. And the Systems Manager requires SSM agent to be installed on the EC2 instance. Now I have another documentation here. So the SSM agent comes pre-installed with most AMI. So you can read more under the Systems Manager documentation. So here are some of them. So all of these AMIs listed here, they come pre-installed with the SSM agent. So if you are using any of these AMIs, then you should have the SSM agent come pre-installed. So this will be the diagram that we are going to follow today, and we'll go ahead, we'll create IAM role for the Systems Manager, and then we'll also need to create some endpoints, which is the SSM endpoint, SSM messages endpoint, and then EC2 messages endpoint. So these are the endpoints that we are going to create. So let's head on to the console and get started. So first, we are going to create the IAM role. So go to your AWS console, you can just search IAM. So go to roles, and then let's create a role. So we are creating this for AWS service. So what kind of service are we creating this for? We are creating the service for EC2. So go ahead and select that and go to next. We need to attach a policy to the role. So I'll come here and then I'll search for SSM. And we are looking for the one with the core, right? So that's the one we are going to select here and attach it to the role, and attach it to the role that we have just created. So go to next. We'll give it a name. So I'll give it a name test SSM. Role. So that's the name I'm giving to it, and then we go next. So now we have our role created. Let's go back to the diagram. So we have step 1 done. Now for the SSM agent to communicate to Systems Manager, we need to open port 443 for that communication to happen. So we are going to create a security group and open port 443. Go to VPC. So create VPC. So we'll click on VPC and more. I'll give it a name, test SSM VPC. I'll leave these settings here default, two AZs, no public subnet, because we want our instances to be secured. So we are putting our EC2 instances, we are putting them in private subnet. Then so we are keeping our two private subnets here. No NAT gateway, no VPC endpoint for S3. So go ahead and click on create VPC. So now that our VPC is created, we can go back to finish creating our security group. So I'm going to reload, start over, create security group. We give the name, test SSM SG. I paste the same name here. Now I'm going to select the VPC that we just created. And then for the inbound rule, we are going to open port 443, which is the HTTPS traffic from anywhere. And then I'll create my security group. Let's go back to our diagram here. So we have the IAM row created. So we have the IAM row created. We've created a security group with port 443 open. And now we'll go ahead and create an endpoint. Now, when you create a VPC, some of the AWS services that lies outside of your VPC will need a special connection for those services to talk to your VPC, and that's what is happening here. So we have the Systems Manager wants to talk to a resource in our VPC, so we need to create an endpoint so that they can communicate. So let's go ahead and create the endpoint. So let's go back to our VPC. Then we go down here to endpoints. So click on endpoint. So the first one, I'm going to name it SSM. And then I'll come here and then I'll search for SSM. SSM. So we are going to use this one, the first one here with the SSM. So let's click on that. And then let's check this box. So now we will select our VPC, and then we have two availability zones. So here we need to select our private subnet. So we don't have any public subnet, but if you have both public and private, you want to select your private subnets here. Now we will select our security group, then scroll down and then create endpoint. So we are creating 3 endpoints, right? So the first one is the SSM, the second one will be the SSM messages, and the last one will be the EC2 messages endpoint. So let's create the second one. So I'll do SSM dash messages, and then I'll come here, I will search SSM, and then this time we are using the one with the SSM messages. We will select this and then choose our VPC, scroll down, choose the availability zones and select our private subnets. We will choose our security group and then create an endpoint. We'll create the last one, which is EC2 dash messages, and then down here I will search for EC2, and then we are looking for the one with the messages. I'll check this box, then select my VPC, select the AZs, my subnets. Here you select your security group, and then we'll create an endpoint. Right, so if you come back to our diagram, we have the IAM created, we have our security group with port 443 open, we've created our endpoint. So now let's go ahead and launch EC2 instance, and then we'll connect to it using the session manager. So I'll go back, go to EC2. I want to launch EC2 instance. I'll give it a name. Test EC2. I'm choosing Ubuntu as my AMI. So as you can see here, the Ubuntu AMI have the SSM agent pre-installed. So I'll move down, keep this default. So since we are using the Systems Manager to connect to our EC2, we don't need any SSH key, we don't need any private key. Then here, click on edit and make sure you select VPC. We don't need any public IP, and then we will select our security group from here. And then you click on advanced details, and then you attach the IAM role that we created. Okay, so we can go down. Scroll down. We will not add user data, so let's go ahead and launch the instance. I waited for about 2 minutes and I have my EC2 instance up and running. So let's see if we can connect to this EC2 instance. But before we do that, let's select this. There's no public IP assigned to this EC2 instance, right? And if you check the security group, there's no port 22 open. There's no port 22 open for SSH connection. Let's try to see if we can connect to the instance using the Sessions Manager. We will now be able to connect using the EC2 Instant Connect, right? That is not available here. SSH is not available, right? There's no key, there's no public IP, but we are able to connect to our instance using the Sessions Manager. We didn't open port 22, no keeper, no bashing host. So this is the most secure way AWS recommend connecting to our EC2 instances. In my next video, I want to show you how you can use what we've learned so far, how to create and connect to EC2 instances in a project. So in this project, we will have our web server running on a private subnet, and then we will use the Sessions Manager, the one we just saw, to connect to this Jenkins server. It can be a web application Jenkins server, SonarQube server, or whatever. So we are going to connect to that securely using the Systems Manager. At the same time, we will have auto scaling group which will take care of adjusting the number of running instances of our Jenkins server. And since we want to see the Jenkins server in the browser, we will put a load balancer in a public subnet to point to EC2 instances so that we can view the Jenkins UI in the browser. We will also create a domain name using Route 53 and also request a certificate using AWS Certificate Manager. So in the end, we'll create a subdomain. So we want to type jenkins.techwithso4.com in a browser, and then we'll be able to see the Jenkins UI in the browser. Alright, hope to see you in our next video. Thanks for joining this one.